This is a conversation about this moment. I'm going to talk about medicine. Obviously, you need to discuss anything that you're considering with your doctor. I am a chick on a podcast. I am not a medical authority. But if you listen to the show,
I am not a medical authority, but here is some medical advice from one chick to another chick.
That I have spent a lot of time over the last couple of years trying to balance my hormones. And that has been one of the most healing, life-giving things I've ever done. But it's been hard. I was pretty freaked out to try birth control again because I had been off of it for so long. So quick history. I had a very long relationship with my ex. He had a vasectomy. I'm not saying anything he hasn't said publicly, so I'm not like revealing truths, but he had a vasectomy a very long time ago, so I didn't need to be on birth control. And that was good because my system is so sensitive and so susceptible to anything that I put inside of it. And years ago when I was on birth control,
You're the most am I the only person who's sensitive to things in their body? It's like, what does that mean? I am so sensitive. Like, you take an Advil and it cures your headache, or like it gets rid of your headache. I eat gluten and it made me, feel bad one time. It's like, she always has to be the standout. Always, no matter what, in all situations. I'm the most sensitive. Well, she didn't say the most, but she's like, I'm highly sensitive. It's like, I think most people react to things when they put them in their bodies.
Was batshit crazy.
Okay, wait, I'm going back. I missed it.
Be on birth control. And that was good because my system is so sensitive.
She's talking about the pill specifically. She'll talk about other forms of birth control, but right now she's talking about birth control, the oral pill, I believe. I'm almost 100%. Thanks, Clarice.
So susceptible to anything that I put inside of it. And years ago when I was on birth control, I was batshit crazy. It made me insane. It made me bloated. It made me uncomfortable. It made me all of these things, but I genuinely was too young. I didn't have the knowledge to understand that there were other ways to manage conception of a child. So I just did what I thought you did, which was be on the birth control pill. And it was, in retrospect, horrible. I hate that there were so many years where my body was put through the ringer and I just thought it was the way it was supposed to be. And the more women I talk to, yes, I do have friends that are on different forms of hormonal birth control, and they feel like it's great in their life. But far and away, women I talk to have really severe side effects. It makes them moody. It kills their sex drive. They don't produce as much lubrication during sex as they once did. It's harder for them to get turned on. They feel bloated. They feel heavier periods or no periods at all. Or it really messes with women's systems. And you also have this increase in your potential for things to happen to your body that are really scary. I think for the longest time, we would hear these stories about the side effects of birth control, and we'd be like, whatever, like the myth of toxic shock syndrome, where we're like, oh, that's, something that happens on the back of a...
Okay, I'm sort of confused at this part, and she's going to talk about the myth of toxic shock syndrome, which is like, okay, you have a whole story that's apparently true, according to her, that you had a tampon within yourself for 3 weeks and did not have toxic shock. So I guess that's why she thinks it's a myth. So it didn't happen to her. It's a myth. The part where she's saying that like, oh, birth control does all these bad things to your body. This is where I start to go, this is, leaning into misinformation. And this is something I've seen recently, and I want to explore it further on a more birth control pill, like only episode, not just about Rachel, but the wellness space right now has, and wellness and like sovereignty, which all sort of goes hand in hand these days, where it's like, I'm going to live off grid, demonizing oral birth control so much. There's this one study that's like very, very small, apparently, that, they did a little research from like I don't know, it's not like a full up blown study, but there was apparently this study, and all these wellness people like ran with it, where women were choosing the wrong mate because they were on birth control. And they're like, oh, birth control makes your sense of smell different. So when you're smelling for your mate, if you're on birth control, you're going to pick the wrong guy. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? But apparently this was like a study where it's like women who are on birth control like would smell different things. It was like not conclusive. It was not scientific, but a lot of accounts I've seen lately have been pushing birth control is bad, get off of birth control. And like Rachel Hollis is not the person I would want to go to hear this advice from, especially when she had a miscarriage not that long ago where she said it was unplanned. She claimed she used condoms, but okay, like let's pretend that that's, you know, her condom magically didn't work and like she's somehow, you know, above the use of condoms, I guess, or like they just don't work for her. I don't know. I don't know how it fails unless you knew it failed immediately, but whatever. So let's say the condom broke. Okay, so wouldn't have been being on birth control helped in that situation and made you not go through that traumatic event if you were not, and she says she was not wanting a child at that time. And I get it. It's like being on hormonal birth control, you have to find a lot of them to find the one that works for you. Or there's other ones. There's the Nexplanon shot. There's the patch. There's the Nuva ring. There's so many ones that you can do that are not just like nothing or tracking your cycle. And tracking your cycles, yeah, it's important. It's helpful, but it's not a fail-safe method whatsoever. And also she's on the older end of the spectrum. If people are younger and perhaps like, I don't know. There's more of I don't know much about the age stuff. She says that you can have babies till you're 40. I know most people have their children when they're younger. I don't know. I just feel like this information is not clear. It's not concise. It's coming from one woman's perspective and you can't even trust it. And now she's going to start demonizing like, oh, it's going to do all these hurtful things to your body. I thought birth control helped certain things like the PCOS and certain things. Like, so now she's going to, I don't know. Let's just listen. Let me shut up for a second.
Palm box. That's not something that happens in real life. But then you see a very real life story. I don't know if you caught it like 6 months ago or something. Hailey Bieber made a video on YouTube about going on birth control and not realizing that because of pre-existing medical conditions, she shouldn't have been going on hormonal birth control. And she had a horrible reaction. She had a mini stroke. She ended up having all of these heart problems. She had to have surgery on her heart. And she's like 24 years old or something, or 25 years.
Okay, I don't really know about the Hailey Bieber thing. I knew she had like a mini stroke, whatever. But I will say there's a caveat that I want to include here in this part of the story. She's like, Hailey Bieber had a thing and it's blamed on her birth control. Okay, Hailey Bieber and Justin Bieber are also very closely affiliated with the Amen clinics, the brain scan doctor people who Rachel loves. Rachel's hormone doctor is under the Amen clinic umbrella. So because Hailey is also under this umbrella of sort of not traditional psychiatry, and they might have a worldview that is closer matching to everyone just needs to have babies and live on a farm and be a hippie, perhaps. I'm not saying that's what Eamon's beliefs are, but it seems like the people who go see him are definitely more in the wellness space and more pseudoscience friendly. I'm not going to take her account of what happened as God's truth, that it was birth control caused. Let me see the medical records before I'm going to take that as like the God honest truth.
This like baby had these really extreme reactions to hormonal based birth control. It's not, it's just like a alleged thing where they have to give us this as a potential. No, some people are really hurt by it. And again, are not doing the research. They're not having conversations with their doctor. They don't understand how detrimental that can be. Your hormones, as if you are someone who bleeds, like if you are someone who bleeds, you get you have a cycle, you have a period once a month. If you are still in that space, your hormones are really ruling your life. They are. If I understand this
Says-
now in a way that I didn't before.
Says you, Rachel. Says you. Who are you to say your hormones are ruling your life? Every person who has a period. Who the fuck are you to say that? You are nobody. You are a woman who just for the first time took their bra off. It's not true. It's just not true. It could be true, but it's not. And I'm not going to take the truth from Rachel Hollis, because who is Rachel Hollis to say it? Your hormones are running your life. Okay.
If your hormones aren't in check, your life is not going to be what you want it to be. It's just not. The more women I talk.
And what does that mean? That's so subjective. My hormones are in check. Okay, now my hormones are not running my life. This is all trash.
Who have understood this, have started seed cycling, have started working with supplements and things that really help them to feel in balance. It's like night and day. When your hormones are out of whack, you are out of whack. I'm going to keep talking about hormones for the rest of my career, maybe, because I don't think...
Maybe, unless it's no longer in trend. And then I will switch to makeup tutorials. Seed cycling, there's no proof that works. Baby girl. Hey, it's God here. Rachel, seed cycling, there's no proof that that works. Okay, and again, saying getting your hormones in check is a subjective expression. So there's no such like determining factor of what that means in reality. There's no like, oh, a number of blood cells in your, there's none of that. So it's like, okay, does it feel in check? Does it not? And also, you've told 1,000 stories in the last few months about how you've had panic attacks, you've had anemia, you haven't been able to do any physical challenges like you used to be able to do because of your hormones. Meanwhile, you've been working with this Amen Clinic doctor for a year plus, and it's not working. So who's not in check? You. Don't blame your audience.
That exists today. There's not knowledge that exists today that can have as profound effect on your life as that. I was just talking to a new friend yesterday, and we were talking about this, that the rate of suicide increases in women astronomically. Suicide and suicidal ideology increases astronomically in the 3 days before your period. But if you don't understand that those 3 days can bring on something like that, and you start to have suicidal ideology, you begin to believe that there may be some truth to the things that you're thinking.
I think she means ideation. I think. I could be wrong, but I heard ideology. I'm like, isn't that something completely different? But what does that have to do? So don't take birth control? Like, because I think having a period 3 days before my period starts, I don't know where she's getting the statistic from. I'm going to look it up in a second. But it's like, so what am I supposed to do? What's the solution here, Rachel? Now I'm very concerned about my health because of this podcast. And I'm a woman who bleeds. Oh my God, what do I need to do? Okay, help me now. Go see Dr. Amen? No, thank you. That's $5,000 plus. And apparently it's not working for you. So why would I do it?
Much power. I've done already so many episodes about it. I will continue to do episodes. This is not going to be one of them, but just know hormone-based birth control is not the only option. There are so many options.
No shit.
And there are inherent risks. Like, let's be real. What I use for contraception is condoms. Tried different stuff. I did try for last year, for like 2 weeks, I tried going on birth control and lost my ever-loving mind, felt absolutely horrible. And then it took me like 6 weeks to get back on track. It's just, so crazy. But my chosen method of contraception is paying attention to when I am ovulating, taking extra precautions around that time, and using condoms. And I did accidentally get pregnant last year. You know, I did a podcast at the beginning of the year about that. I did accidentally get pregnant using a condom. And I'm also the same person that accidentally got pregnant 15 years ago while on birth control. So I'm really fertile.
Or maybe you're taking it wrong. Or maybe you're not using it correctly. Again, like, she makes it seem like she's so special that like hormonal birth control doesn't work for her. And maybe that's true, but maybe you missed a day, and that they make it very clear. Like, if you miss a day, or even you don't take it the same time at the same hour, it could not work for you. So don't put this out there that like condoms can make you pregnant. Birth control can make you pregnant. Like, you're not telling the full story. I just find it to be dangerous. And of course, she is the only person. Am I the only one who's gotten pregnant with using, you know, these fairly reliable contraception twice? I mean, I don't know. It just seems like maybe there's a little bit of like user error involved, and she's not even aware of that. But it just seems like a dangerous thing. If you're that fertile, now your next plan is, okay, now I'm just going to track my cycle. It's like, oof, it's risky.
Risk that I'm willing to take to be only using condoms as my contraception, because I absolutely am not planning to have a baby. And when I found out I was pregnant, I was so excited. I felt like the universe was sending me this gift, and I didn't know how it happened. And later the baby died. I've tried to teach myself to not say I lost the baby, because I think it is a pretty, I don't like the vernacular there. I think it implies that the woman did something, like, oh, I lost my baby. Like, I put my baby down and then, you know, left it somewhere. And really, while I was pregnant, my baby's heart stopped beating. I was devastated. And it has taken most of this year to get to a place where I feel whole again and I feel healed. And I did grapple for a while with, oh, was that a sign from God that I'm supposed to have another baby? Like, am I supposed, like, that was a whole mind fuck, you guys, that took a lot of therapy and a lot of conversations to get past. My ultimate answer is that no, I don't know why that happened. It's one of those things in my life that I don't feel like I'm ever really going to know why all of that happened the way that it did. But I still feel very sure that my 4 children are a lot of children, and my energy is focused on being the best mom I can to them, which is still going to be the rest of my life, working to do that well. All of that to say, if I found out I was pregnant, like if I found out condoms didn't work and I found out I was pregnant tomorrow, I would also be thrilled, and that would be the course that my life is going to take. But to me, it is not worth having more confidence. It's not worth it to mess up my body on a daily basis. I mean, your body's a temple, right? This is a sacred space. This is what you've got to work with, and you want to take care of it to the best of your ability. I think that taking care of yourself to the best of your ability looks like limiting as much as you possibly can things that you're putting into your body that could potentially negatively affect it.
I just think this is like a wink, wink, nod, nod. Do not take hormonal birth control because that's not natural. It's better to take a supplement to help you. Because she said, oh, the seeds, her eating pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds and drinking, olive oil or whatever the fuck she did, made her fertile. So if that's what she thinks is how it all works, then taking something unnatural like a birth control pill is making you, hurt your body, which I have just not seen the evidence of that. Yes, people have side effects from birth control. Yes, but having side effects from birth control is still better in a lot of cases than having an unwanted pregnancy. Period, point blank. That's all there really is to say about it. And she is sort of leaning into telling people what to do. Don't put something in your body that's going to hurt you. I mean, we're sort of are past like the personal storytelling of her own life experience when she's saying like, people are suicidal and they're taking this and that and it's bad for you. It's like, says who? And I looked up the study too. I saw someone also saw it. There's like I'm just looking quickly while I'm also listening and reading comments and stuff. So, I'll have to do more research, but it was like a study of like 200 women and 140 of them said, yeah, I feel more suicidal than I did 3 weeks ago. It's like, is that conclusive? Absolutely not. to say as a fact of life.
That we lived in a world that paid as much care and attention to women's health as it does to men's, because I guarantee if men were the ones who had to take birth control pills, which were invented for men a very long time ago, but they do not sell them because, you know, what man would take that on? But if men were the ones who were in charge of taking birth control.
I don't know what she's talking about there. They were invented a long time ago. This also sounds like the pipeline to the secret cabal in, you know, the basement of the pizza restaurant is holding the secrets of cancer research. Like, it's sort of a slippery slope to me, and I'm just hearing the beginnings of like conspiracy theory talk. Especially, it's so easy to get absorbed in this in the wellness space because there's so much distrust of big pharma, which I'm not saying big pharmaceutical companies are like great and amazing, but to think that they're all in cahoots together to kill you, I don't know. I have a hard time finding truth in that as clear cut as these people make it seem. And then they're fine with supplements made, you know, who knows where by who knows who with who knows what ingredients in it. They're fine with those. Those are totally safe. It's like, come on, give me a break.
I promise you that they would have less side effects. I promise you that there would be a lot more effort and intention put into birth control to make sure that it was safer for the person taking it. But we know that they don't put as much intention into women's health as they do to men's. And I hope that that changes and that sometime in the future, there are solutions that are better and safer for women, not just physically, but also emotionally and spiritually. But I don't think we're there. And since we're not there, I am choosing to not use that form of hormone in my body.
Good for you. And you're also rich. So if you have a child, you can afford to have a child. Now help everyone else that's not there. Help everyone that's not in your mansion community have options. We love it. Love it. It's just like a privileged woman's take on, you know, I don't need to do anything that I can eat healthy foods. Like, okay, great. Good for you. Clap, clap, clap. Wonderful. That's not why people who aren't making that much money aren't eating healthier. It's because everything costs money, and that's always a factor in all these conversations. But if you're rich, you don't think about that. You're like, why don't people just eat healthier? Why don't people just like have the rhythm method? And if they have a baby, just like have the baby. Like, who cares? It's like, oh my God. The ignorance is clear. And I think she's very susceptible to other people's beliefs. So even if she's not really interested in all these topics, like if she's being talked to by like Kimberly, the energy healer who has ties to Teal Swan, like that, she might just be absorbing this type of information, you know, much more readily than someone else.
You talk to your doctor about what is best for you.
Okay, good. Thank you.